Chapter 11 Nightmares. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Dark Mage was gone from the town, leaving 2 bodies behind. The Priest of Light and his son had been killed in broad daylight, marking the long-dreaded return of the Dark Mages. The Church of Darkness, which everyone thought was gone for good, had made a return with an advanced mage. She was right. The world was about to change. Maya dropped to her knees, shivering. She was so scared, standing before that woman. Only she knew how she remained standing until she left, not cowering before her. As the woman left, Maya was literally trembling in fear. The Dark Mages. It was only now she saw how scary they could be. Maya also realized that Gabriel was still alive. If he wasn't, he couldn't have escaped. However, that also meant he was going to return. There was a small part of Maya who was happy that he was alive. She hadn't killed him. However, a big part of her was scared and worried about the future. Not only had she tried to kill him, but her mother as well. When he returned, she was sure he was going to kill them all. According to her, Gabriel was already corrupted, and he was only going to be worse the next time he returned, if not stronger. She stood up and hastily ran inside her home. "Mom, pack your stuff. We need to leave this town. We need to go where Gabriel can't get to us. He will kill us if he returns. Hurry. I'll go bring father." "Where will we even go?" the middle-aged woman asked, still unable to believe what she saw with her own eyes. The boy they helped raise was a Dark Mage now. "The academy I go to is in the royal capital. We can get a place there. That place is like a fortress. The Holy Church of Light is there, protecting the royal city. These devils can never hurt us there. We must also tell the main church what happened here. They need to know. Hurry up." She wasn't the only one who was trying to leave the town. Everyone who was present here had run to pack their bags and leave the town. This place wasn't safe anymore. Right outside Maya's house, Horan was blankly standing before the dead body of his father and his brother. He was informed what had happened. For a moment, he was in disbelief, but he was sure that so many people wouldn't lie. He also started running in fear, leaving the bodies of his family members behind. How can that bastard return from the dead? He is really a devil. This place isn't safe for me anymore. In an unknown dark place, a young man was lying on the ground, unconscious. There was a hole in the shoulder of the man, but he had stopped bleeding. The wound had also started healing slowly as told kept trickling away. Still unconscious, Gabriel was only reliving one moment repeatedly where he was being stabbed by the woman he thought to be his mother right before being stabbed by the woman he had loved for a long time. After stabbing him, both of them called him a demon as they watched him die without helping him. That moment kept repeating in his head, destroying all love and trust he had. These were the moments that woke him up from his illusion. The old Gabriel was dead. He was a new Gabriel now. The one who was called a demon and backstabbed for no reason. That moment continued repeating in his head repeatedly, and he never fought back. He died every time in excruciating pain. With each death, something inside him broke. Until there was nothing left. He decided to get out of this nightmare. He has had enough. He wasn't going to let them kill him anymore. As the next dream started with the same thing, this time, he didn't hold back. He jumped aside and dodged the first spear, letting it hit the woman in the back. This time he didn't protect her, and somewhere deep inside, he felt pleased that he didn't help the one who was about to kill him. However, he wasn't going to let Maya have an easy time either. After countless dreams of being killed, he has lost all his faith in her. The black book before him turned to the 3rd page, which was the second spell of the book and the only offensive spell for now. He chanted the spell out loud, not hesitating for even a second. This time, the dream didn't end with his death. Instead, it was the 2 women who died this time. He had changed the dream, also changing himself in the process. He realized what he should have done. The emotions were useless. He needed to care about only himself. Because that's what the others did. If no one cared for him, he wasn't going to care for anyone. As soon as he killed Maya in the dream, his dreams finally shattered as if he was free from the nightmarish dream after learning his lesson. As his eyes opened, Gabriel observed his surroundings, which were awfully quiet. He could even hear the sound of his heartbeat in this place. Gabriel tried sitting, only to notice that his shoulder was still hurting. He remembered being stabbed in the shoulder before. He placed his fingers where the spear had stabbed him. For some reason, there was no wound here. The strange phenomenon made Gabriel tilt his head in confusion. All his wounds had healed again for some reason. "My book," he exclaimed, noticing his book wasn't in his hands. Fortunately, he soon discovered the forbidden book of necromancy, which was lying behind him. He let out a sigh of relief as he picked up the book. The book turned into a ring once again, gracing his fingers. "I don't know how to thank you enough. You again saved my life, didn't you?" Gabriel appeared to be talking to his ring, which couldn't reply. There was no one who could survive after being wounded so heavily without getting treated with holy magic of light. Moreover, now that he was also a dark mage, holy magic of healing wasn't going to work on him either. Still, for some reason, his dark element managed to heal him. Not only did he survive his initial death at the bottom of the cliff, but even now. In 2 days, he had almost died twice yet survived. As for how even, he wasn't entirely sure. All he knew was that it was the work of the forbidden book of necromancy and his new element. The more Gabriel thought about it, the more absurd he found it to be. The darkness that everyone called bad is what kept an innocent alive. On the other hand, the people who pretended to be morally virtuous were the ones who tried to take an innocent life due to that bias. How ironic. This darkness is much better than them from what I've seen. At first, I was hesitant about using the element of darkness, worrying about what the world might think. Even I didn't want to use a dark element, but now I know. If I want to survive, I need to fully embrace this darkness. 12 Chapter 12 You are listening at novelfull.audio. After coming to terms with his newly awakened element, which protected his life, he tried to observe his surroundings to know where he actually was. He was only sure of one thing. He wasn't with the enemies. They never would have left him alone without taking the forbidden book of necromancy. That could only mean the book had somehow helped him escape when he was unconscious. Gabriel observed his surroundings, noticing that he appeared to be in some dark room. There was no source of light here except the torches that were burning on the wall. The room didn't appear to be properly made. The walls were rough as if it was a chamber in a cave which was dug with hands. There was only one way out from here, and it was a pathway straight which was like a tunnel. For some reason, Gabriel could also hear the sound of water coming from that tunnel as if he was near a water source. He picked up a flaming torch from the wall and entered the tunnel, trying to find a way out of this dark place. Gabriel walked through the dark tunnel for a really long time, looking for an exit. The sound of water appeared to be getting close, yet he couldn't see any light source. Gabriel hadn't eaten since last night. Let alone eat anything, he didn't even get to drink anything. Moreover, he had been walking since the morning. He had hoped to rest in the house for a little while, but that plan turned out to be an even bigger mistake. Fortunately, it seemed as if a water source was nearby to quench his thirst. Or at least that's what he thought. After walking for 20 minutes straight, Gabriel finally managed to reach the end of the tunnel and stepped out of it, only to end up in an even more absurd place. He had expected to find an exit through the tunnel, but something was wrong. He ended up in another dark chamber, but this one was even more absurd. There was a river passing through this chamber. Other than that river, there was nothing. There was no exit or door. Do I need to swim out of here? Since the river was going out of here, the only path he could see to get out of here was through swimming. However, he was slightly hesitant in this as well. The river, it wasn't any ordinary river. The river's water was pitch black, unlike the crystal clear water of the rivers outside. He had never heard of a river like this. Moreover, he could also hear some strange sounds coming from the depths of the river, as if there were some spirits that were cackling at the depths of the river. "Come inside. Come fast. We are waiting. Kakik, jump in." As if Gabriel wasn't stupefied already, he also started hearing strange whispers as if there were people who were inviting him to jump inside. Gabriel hastily took a step back. This river. There was no way it wasn't a cursed river. I can't get inside. This doesn't look safe at all. But is there another exit? Gabriel walked back and forth in frustration. There appeared to be no other exit except through the river. However, the river didn't look to be safe either. He didn't feel safe jumping into the river of cursed spirits. I don't even have materials here, or I could have made a boat. Do I have no other choice except to jump into the river if I want to leave? He had a tough choice before him. Either he could jump inside the strange water and risk his life, or he could stay behind and wait for his death here. Both the options had a high chance of death, but only the second option had a slight chance of survival. After thinking about it for a long time, Gabriel knew that he only had a choice in name. In reality, this wasn't a choice at all. Only one option had a chance of survival, while both had a high chance of death. If he had another way out of here, he never would have jumped in the river of the damned. Unfortunately, this was his only way. He took a deep breath as he stepped closer to the river. He was ready to jump in the river. The voices that were coming from the river intensified. He is coming in. Kakik, after a long time. Finally. Jump, human. Jump. Come inside. Shut up. Gabriel yelled in frustration. He was already stressed about getting in the water, and these spirits were making it more difficult for him. Did he just scold us? I think he did. Ah. The spirits at the depth of water appeared to be gobsmacked to find a human scolding them. For a moment, they seemed to be in disbelief. Finally, the river had turned silent. That's much better. Gabriel took a step forward to jump inside the water, only to stop at the last second. He gazed at his right hand. Unable to believe his eyes, he took a few steps back. A black boat appeared to be coming toward him from the right. The wooden boat appeared to be made of the most rotten wood in existence. It was surprising that something like this was still in use, but what was even more shocking was the person who was rowing the boat. Okay, this can't be real. I'm really dreaming. Gabriel pinched his hand in disbelief. The person who was rowing the boat wasn't a person at all. Instead, he was the same dark specter that Gabriel had seen when he was in his spirit form. It was the specter that had disappeared right before he was about to kill him. At least that's what he looked like. Since the specter didn't have a face or a body, Gabriel could only assume. He didn't know how many specters like that were there. The boat stopped at the edge of the river as if waiting for Gabriel to climb. The specter didn't even gaze at him. It just sat calmly in the boat. This time, he didn't have the scythe in his hand. Even though Gabriel thought that it was a dream, as he pinched him, he felt the pain. He could feel it wasn't a dream at all. He was actually here. It was unclear what this place actually was, but if he wanted to leave this place, there was now a third option. Either he could stay here for eternity, or he could jump in the strange river and try to swim for an unknown amount of time. And now, the third option was available, which was to get in the boat and let the specter take him. Unfortunately, he wasn't sure where the specter was going to take him or why he was even here. Just what was this place? As soon as he awakened the element of darkness, his life had turned into a collection of strange events. After a long time, Gabriel finally came to a decision. He decided to get into the boat with the specter and hope for the best even though he didn't have enough answers. He advanced toward the boat with the specter. 13 Chapter 13 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even as Gabriel moved closer to the boat, the spectre didn't react. He just sat there as if he was a dead being who didn't care about anything. Gabriel stopped right beside the boat. He didn't say anything either and just got inside the boat. Since the spectre didn't have a face, he didn't expect the being to speak or answer his question either. As soon as Gabriel sat on the boat started moving ahead. For some strange reason, the spirits at the bottom of the river were awfully silent now. Gabriel had thought that those spirits were going to start calling him out for not getting inside the river, but they didn't dare let out even a single noise. Gabriel wondered if it was because he had scolded the spirits. That shouldn't have been the case though. Ultimately, he only concluded that it probably had something to do with the spectre before him. The spirits were probably scared of him. The boat kept floating ahead and soon disappeared into the distance. As the boat left, finally the spirits started talking again. Did you all see what I saw? He took away that human. Why would he do that? And for a measly human at that. The spirits didn't understand anything. Since the book of necromancy was in the form of the ring, there was no aura of the book here. Without the aura, the spirits considered Gabriel to be an ordinary human at best, which was what confused them. The spirits kept discussing something even long after Gabriel left. In another place, the dark boat advanced in the river of damnation. Even as Gabriel sat in the boat, he hadn't dropped the flaming torch. However, not long after, the flames stopped. All the surroundings turned dark, making Gabriel unable to see anything. It was as if he was completely blind at the moment, unable to see his surroundings. In frustration, he tossed the torch into the water. It was of no use without fire. In the darkness, he only heard the sound of water and nothing else. Everything was so silent. Are you taking me to kill me? Gabriel finally asked. As expected, the spectre didn't respond. No matter what Gabriel asked, he was only greeted by a terrifying silence as if the spectre wasn't even there. Gabriel had wholly prepared for his death. He wasn't sure if he was ever going to get out of this strange place alive, still he wasn't going to go out fighting. He kept rubbing the black ring on his finger with his thumb, prepared to call out the forbidden book at a moment's notice in case he was attacked. Fortunately, there were no attacks that came to him. After a long time of sitting in isolation, finally Gabriel heard some voices. The voices were different. They didn't belong to the spirits from earlier. Instead, they were the voices he recognized. Gabriel. Gabriel, help me. The call for help came from everywhere. Gabriel subconsciously reacted by standing up, but he soon remembered his past. He took a deep breath, sitting down. He wasn't going to jump into the river to help someone who tried to kill him. Moreover, he was also sure that there was no way Maya was going to be here. It was probably only an illusion to get him down the boat. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes since he couldn't see anything even with open eyes. At least he could keep his mind calm with closed eyes. I don't know what this river is, but it is making me hear the voices of people I know. This won't work. I won't fall for such an easy trick. The boat covered more distance. The screams of Maya only intensified. This time, the voices were followed by her mother's pleas for help. Gabriel. We helped raise you. How can you abandon us now? Save my daughter. Save her. You ungrateful bastard. Help my daughter, or she will die. Please help her. The voices became even more intense as they followed Gabriel. Gabriel still didn't react. I already tried saving your life once. Moreover, I also received a really nice reward for it. I believe that reward is enough for me to spend a lifetime. I can't afford more rewards like those, my apologies. As for me being ungrateful, Gabriel opened his eyes, letting out a deep sigh. I believe I've returned all your favors in full by saving you from the death at the hands of your own daughter. You gave me this life when my mother had died by taking me in. I returned your life in exchange for the life that you gave me. Moreover, you also settled the score by taking my life in exchange for the life that you gave me. I believe I owe you nothing anymore." Hearing the calm yet the steady response of Gabriel, the spectre who was sitting before him finally made a movement, raising his head a bit. You. The voices screeched in pain as they disappeared. Not long after, a laughter started echoing in the surrounding. This laughter. Gabriel could never forget this laugh. It was the same laughter he had heard right before he was killed at the cliff. "You dog, you are still alive. Come bow before your master just like your mother did. Accept your death like a man, you coward. Come to me." Horan's voice echoed in the surrounding. Gabriel once again responded calmly. "Don't worry, young friend. I have not forgotten you. I promise there will come a day, and I'll stand before you. And that day, I will see how much you speak. I hope you speak a lot that day because that will be the last day anyone will be able to hear your voice. I will keep that promise to you. Even death won't be able to stop me." Gabriel made a declaration right before that spectre. "You bastard. You are just a coward, aren't you? You just talk big, yet you can't come to face me. Even after I did so much, you're still scared to stand up to me. Ha ha ha. You stood up before a man who didn't have any fighting skills or spells. You used your brother to restrict his movement before killing him. You think that was bravery? In my eyes, you were the real coward. The day I meet you, I won't restrict you like you did. I won't hide my act from others as you did either. I also won't take anyone's help." A smile finally appeared on the dry lips of Gabriel after a long time. "I will kill you wherever you are, no matter how many mages you surround yourself with. Look forward to that day because I surely do. You." 14 Chapter 14 You are listening at novelfull.audio. The voice of Horan also stopped. For a while, it appeared as if there was finally peace. However, Gabriel was too naive to think that. As the boat kept moving, the voices made a return. Sometimes he heard the voice of the head priest, who told him he was banished and he was going to die being nothing. At other times, there was the voice of Maya's father, who blamed him for not saving his daughter and his wife despite all they did for him. Things went overboard when he even heard the voice of his mother. The voice that he hadn't heard for over a decade fell in his ears, sending a chill down his spine. It took a lot of effort not to react to the voice of his mother, but he knew that it wasn't real. It was just an illusion. There was no way the soul of his mother was going to be in the river of damnation. He was sure that she was going to be in heaven. Whatever these voices were, they were trying real hard to instigate him, and he realized that. The only goal behind something like this could be to make him jump into the river of damnation, and he wasn't going to do that at any cost. He kept his eyes closed as he ignored the voices of his mother. The torment continued for an hour straight before the voices stopped, just as Gabriel was feeling like he was going to go crazy. At the same time, the boat also stopped. With a frown, Gabriel opened his eyes, wondering why the boat had stopped. As he opened his eyes, he noticed that he was out of the tunnel of darkness. The boat was waiting before something that appeared like a platform for him to get down. In the distance, he could also see a giant stone door. This was also the end of the river as the Black River disappeared into nothingness just a few meters ahead. There was no other place to go to. After waiting a few seconds to be sure, Gabriel got off the boat and landed on the platform. As soon as he got off the boat, he noticed that the boat started going back against the flow. From start to finish, the spectre didn't even gaze at Gabriel. It was only when the boat was going back that it seemed like he took a glance at him. The boat disappeared into the darkness, leaving Gabriel here alone. He faced the giant door, wondering what could be behind the door. Was this the exit from this place? The spectre had brought him here, so there must be a reason, he thought. He picked up another flaming torch from the wall and moved closer to the stone door. The stone door appeared to be 20 meters tall and 10 meters wide. Just the sheer size of the stone made Gabriel wonder if he was even able to open the door or not. A door of this size was going to be really heavy, especially when it was made from the strongest of stones. If I can't open it, it'll be a dead end once again. I can't let that happen. If the exit is on the other side, I need to get to the other side, no matter what it takes. Even though he believed it wasn't going to work, Gabriel still prepared to give it his all. He planted his feet firmly on the ground and adjusted his body to push the door. He placed his hands on the stone door and took a deep breath before pushing. Creak! Without even waiting for his push, the doors started opening on their own as soon as Gabriel's hands touched them. To be more accurate, the doors began opening as soon as that black ring touched the door. The heavy doors started opening on their own, surprising Gabriel. Doors that could open on their own. He hadn't seen anything like that in this life. He straightened his back and waited for the massive doors to open. After the majestic doors opened, Gabriel finally took his first step inside. Unfortunately for him, this place didn't appear to be the exit. He still couldn't see the clear sky even as he passed through the door. Instead, he appeared to be in a massive hall. This time, the hall was even more majestic. Even though the place wasn't bright, it wasn't too dark either. Gabriel could see inside the room, even without the torch. Moreover, what he saw wasn't even close to what he had expected when he stepped inside. He placed the flaming torch on the wall before stepping to the center of the place, which appeared more like a massive temple. There were multiple statues in this place, each 100 feet tall. Except for the one statue in the middle, which was damaged, every other statue appeared to be intact. Moreover, each of the statues were holding a book in their hands. Since Gabriel was standing on the ground, he could see the cover of the books in the hands of the statues. The books appeared to be made from stone as well, more like a depiction of the real book. Gabriel moved closer to the first statue and looked up to observe the cover. The statue appeared to be of a woman who was wearing a tight-fitting dress. On one hand of the statue, there was a beautiful magical staff, while on the other hand, there was a book. Noticing the symbol on the cover of the book, Gabriel frowned. He recognized that symbol. It was the holy symbol of the Church of Water. This book. Is this supposed to represent the Holy Book of Water? Just based on the symbol, he couldn't be sure if it actually depicted the Holy Book or just an ordinary book from the Church of Water that used the same symbol. Still, there was a feeling in his heart that the book was supposed to be a depiction of the Holy Book. As for who the woman in the statue was, he had no idea. Gabriel moved on to the next statue to observe the book. The statue, this time, appeared to be of a proud young man who had hair so long that they came down to his knees. The man hadn't tied his hair. Gabriel appeared to be more interested in the book instead. Holy symbol of the Church of Lightning, Gabriel grimly stated. Are these the founders of churches of elements? Or just the heads at the time the statue was made? Or could they be more? The gods of elements. 15 Chapter 15 You're listening at novelfull.audio. Confused, Gabriel moved over to the next statue, only to notice the holy symbol of the Church of Flames. Holy symbol of the Church of Nature. Holy symbol of the Church of Earth. He went through one statue to another, realizing that all the books had the symbol he recognized. His suspicion was becoming stronger that all these people were carrying the holy books. In the end, there were only 3 statues left, including the broken statue. The broken statue stood at the end of the hall. On the left of the statue, there stood another statue. On the right, there was the third statue. It appeared as if those 3 statues were supposed to show more influence since they were standing near the center, especially the broken statue, which was in the exact center. Gabriel started from the statue of the woman on the left of the broken statue. The woman had 2 beautiful wings on her back that were spreading wide. Holy symbol of light, Gabriel stated in a gruff tone. The holy symbol of light in his left hand shone brightly in the presence of the lady's statue. He skipped the broken statue in the middle and moved to the statue on the right, which belonged to a slender young man. The man held a staff in his hand, which had the smallest gem out of all the staff here, yet the man appeared to be one of the strongest here for some reason. Focusing on the book in the statue's hands, Gabriel recognized the symbol. It was the symbol that he had seen many times in the books. The more well-known holy symbol of darkness. Gabriel couldn't help but look at the symbol on his right hand, which didn't match the symbol of darkness. Even though both the symbols were pitch black in color, the symbols at the core were different. Unfortunately, no one had seen this symbol before. The people outside only focused on the pitch-black color to believe it was the symbol of darkness. That left only one statue in the entire place. Unfortunately, by now Gabriel had covered all the elements he knew about. And he hadn't seen any symbol that matched his. He wondered if the last statue was going to be the one. He finally moved over to the statue in the middle. The statue appeared to be broken badly and was missing the head. Some more marks of damage could be seen on the statue. Gabriel kept his focus on the book, and just as he expected. There it was. The symbol that was on his right hand. So this isn't the holy symbol of darkness. That means I'm not a dark mage. But then, what am I? I'm able to use undead and spirits. And why is this the only statue that is broken out of all? There were many questions floating in his head. He had come to terms with the fact that he was a dark mage who awakened the element of darkness, but now it turned out that he was wrong. He hadn't awakened the element of darkness but something else entirely. It didn't matter. He still couldn't explain this to the people outside who were going to consider him a dark mage variant. Whatever he was, he needed to embrace it fully. He turned around and observed the entire hall. Other than the statues, there was nothing here. There wasn't even an exit other than the place he came from, but that wasn't an exit at all. That was a dead end as well since it led back to the river outside. Does this place really have no exit? Am I trapped here for eternity? As he worried about his future, he stood with the support of the broken statue, lost in thoughts. Not only was he hungry, but he was also at a dead end. For a moment, he even wondered if this was his personal hell. As soon as Gabriel touched the broken statue, the ring in his hand started shining. Lost in his thoughts, he didn't notice it. His attention was only attracted when he heard a creaking sound coming from behind. Gabriel straightened up and looked behind the broken statue from the gap between the 2 feet of the statue. There was previously no opening in the entire place. However, now there appeared to be a door-shaped opening in the wall right behind the broken statue. Gabriel subconsciously gazed at the broken statue, wondering if this guy was helping him somehow. In any case, he couldn't ignore this opportunity. No matter where that opening took him, it was better than being stuck here. He ran to the opening and entered the dark chamber. As soon as Gabriel stepped inside, the opening that had appeared in the wall closed behind him. Gabriel found himself in an even smaller room, which was only 10 meters wide. However, this room was what surprised and excited him the most. The room was lit in a blood-red light that illuminated this place. In the middle of the room, there appeared to be a small pond that was only a few meters wide. The pond appeared to be filled with the same dark water as outside. Right in the center of the pond, something appeared to be floating mid-air. Seeing the floating object, Gabriel's lips curled into a smile. He stepped closer to the pond. Unfortunately, to get to that object, he could see that he needed to get inside the dark water. For some reason, he didn't even think twice before jumping into the small pond. The object was more important to him than anything else at this point. No matter what, he believed he couldn't leave it behind. Unfortunately, he was in for a surprise. As soon as he stepped into the pond, which previously didn't appear to be more than a few feet deep, he found himself being pulled inside into the endless depths of the pond. It was unclear what was pulling him, but Gabriel struggled as much as he could to free himself. He struggled with all his might to free himself, but his body only kept submerging in the water. Before long, most of his body was inside the dark water, and he could feel thousands of hands holding on to him and pulling him down into the deep abyss. 16 Chapter 16 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gabriel's body was submerged in the water. Before he could even react, his head was also pulled inside the water, making him unable to breathe. Deep in the water, he heard some whispers as his body kept getting pulled to realms unknown. After being unable to resist, he chose his last resort, raising his right hand. He didn't know if the book could help him here or not, but that was his only option here. The forbidden book of necromancy once again made an appearance amidst the screaming noises. As soon as the book of forbidden necromancy appeared, it was as if the spirits went crazy. They screeched in fear and pain as they freed Gabriel and went to the depths of the pond, far away from him. Gabriel held the forbidden book and started swimming up. His head came out of the cold water, finally giving him a chance to breathe. Gabriel's heart raced, thinking about what could have happened if he didn't have the book. This water. This was certainly something scary. He didn't want to stay here longer than he needed to. He gazed at the object of his affection which was floating in the center of the pond. The object. It was something he wanted as soon as he had discovered the forbidden book of necromancy. As a mage, he needed a staff to control and boost his spells. Unfortunately, it was really hard to get the staff with the element of darkness as they were banned by the Holy Church of Light and others. Moreover, it was only now that he realized that even if he had a staff that supported the element of darkness, it was going to be useless for him. He didn't have the element of darkness as he assumed before. He had something never seen before. For this, he needed a staff with a similar element which should have been impossible to find. Fortunately, that's what he saw before him at the moment. A beautiful wooden staff was floating in the middle of the pond. As for the staff, it appeared to be the exact one that was in the hands of the broken statue, based on the shape of the staff. L.rg The staff appeared to have the shape of a question mark, with the top being curved to some extent. Some mysterious characters were also carved on the staff that was shining very weakly. On the top of the staff, there it was. A small crystal. The crystal of his element. Gabriel sent the book of necromancy back to the ring form before he reached out his hand to touch the staff. He made sure not to use his left hand that had the element of light. He knew that he wasn't reaching out his hand toward a magical staff. He was reaching out his hand toward his future. His hand finally touched the staff. As soon as his hand touched them, the mysterious characters that were shining weakly until recently started shining so bright that Gabriel was forced to close his eyes. As he closed his eyes, he felt something change around him. The mysterious light of the staff surrounded his entire body as if giving him some kind of protection. That wasn't all though. The light started materializing itself into the form of clothes. Gabriel was standing topless. His pants were also torn in places. However, a new set of clothes appeared around his body. 2 black gloves appeared on each of his hands, hiding the 2 marks of his. His pants healed and changed color as well, turning a beautiful shade of black. A shirt also appeared on the top, making Gabriel seem like he was a prince from some powerful empire. A golden robe also appeared on the top of the shirt, which covered his shoulders. 2 beautiful golden wristbands appeared around his wrist with the exact same markings as on the staff, along with a charming golden necklace. Gabriel also felt his surroundings change. He was in the pond before, but he could feel warm grass under his feet now. The chirping of birds also fell in his ears as gentle winds brushed against his skin, making him open his eyes. He slowly opened his eyes, only to be amazed. He wasn't in the small room anymore, and that dark pond was nowhere to be found. He stood on the beautiful green grass in what appeared to be a forest. He raised his head to notice the beautiful sky. He was standing under the shade of one of the trees. Moreover, the tree wasn't any ordinary tree. It was as if the staff had listened to his wishes and brought him here. He was really hungry, and now he was standing under an apple tree that had tons of apples. The majestic staff was still in his hands. Lowering his head, he observed his clothes. These clothes. Aren't they too attention-grabbing? Then again, at least they aren't all black in color. Moreover, it's better than being naked. And I finally have the staff of this element as well. I don't know what this element is called, but since its holy grimoire is the forbidden book of necromancy, it would be fair to assume it's the element of necromancy. An element that never appeared before. Even if it appeared before, it was kept a secret from everyone. After a long time, he got a staff and a book of spells. Even though these weren't from the element of light as he had wanted, it was still an element never seen before. He wasn't even sure if he was the only person in the world with this element, but it seemed highly likely. Gabriel plucked an apple from the tree with his left hand and started eating it as he observed the staff even more carefully. I wonder how strong the spells will be with the staff. He called forth the forbidden book of necromancy to test. The forbidden book appeared before Gabriel and opened the page of first spell. Since he wanted to compare the boost, he could only compare it with the spell he had used before without the staff. Shield of Undead. Gabriel chanted the spell. As soon as he chanted the spell, the winds fastened. The sky turned dark once again. Multiple dark spirits came out of the forbidden book of necromancy. The spirits were still in the thousands like before as they formed the shield of undead against all expectations of Gabriel. He thought now that he had a staff, the evil spirits that appeared were going to her much more than before, but it was exactly the same as before. Wait, no. This isn't the same. After some time, he finally realized that there was a difference. The evil spirits that came this time appeared to be stronger and louder. They were also sucking energy from nature itself to become even stronger. The spell. It was more about the quality than the quantity, and the quality was superior this time. Much superior. Gabriel was pleased with the demonstration of the skill. Clap clap, he was just about to stop the spell when he heard clapping coming from the back. Not bad. Honestly, I didn't expect to find you so soon. You need to work on that stealth when using your spell. Stunned, Gabriel hastily turned back. He could see a dark-haired woman standing in the back. She didn't have any book or any staff in her hands, but she did have a black mark that she made no effort to hide. A dark mage. Gabriel exclaimed, taking a step back and tightening his grip on his staff. 17 Chapter 17 You are listening at novelfull.audio. A dark mage. Gabriel was stunned to find a dark mage standing before him. He had thought that they were extinct. And even if they weren't extinct, it should have been almost impossible to come across one so easily. Also, from the lady's words, it was evident that this meeting wasn't a coincidence. She was actively looking for him. Do you really need to be so surprised? I'm not a ghost. The young lady smiled in response. Moreover, I hope you won't attack me without listening to me first. I'm not here to attack you. Gabriel had already gone through a similar form of bias where he was attacked just because of his element without anyone giving him a chance to explain. It didn't matter who this woman was or what element she had, for him, all elements were a threat to him. He didn't actively attack her, but he did hold his staff firmly in case he was attacked in the middle. At the same time, he also cancelled his old spell. He didn't even send his grimoire back. The grimoire kept floating before him. Before we begin, I must say. That grimoire is certainly very unique. It's definitely not the Holy Book of Darkness. At the same time, it's not like any other element either. But it's certainly a grimoire since it can fly on its own. Would I be right to assume that it's a new element that you received? The young lady asked. That's right. I'm not a dark mage. Gabriel affirmed. Oh, that I knew at first glance. The lady burst into laughter. The world outside can't differentiate between symbols. They would easily confuse you with a dark mage because of your element's color, but I'm a dark mage. I know that you aren't one of us. So, what is your element? What kind of mage are you? She further asked. Gabriel didn't answer her question. He wasn't going to tell her anything about him. For a mage, it was best to keep his abilities a secret. Unfortunately, most of the skills of the other elements were well known, including the element of darkness. These elements had lost the surprise. He was different. Instead of explaining more about himself, he changed the topic to the woman. Why did you approach me? What do you want from me? The lady couldn't help but smirk. She noticed the hesitation of Gabriel to answer her. She didn't mind it. She was just a stranger to him. Fine. I'll be straight. My name is Lyra, and I'm what they call a mage of darkness. I sensed your strange spell energy from miles away and reached your town to see what it was about. That's when I noticed the mark on your hands. Unfortunately, I was too late, and you were already hurt. Your grimoire took you somewhere unknown. Since then, I've been waiting to meet you again. I again sensed that energy just now, and it was even more powerful than before. So I came here, hoping to find you, she continued. I'll repeat my question. What do you want from me? Gabriel firmly stated. We don't share an element. You can't use my grimoire, and you can't use my staff. Both of these things are useless for you. So what do you want from me? I know I can't use your grimoire because it's a different element. However, even if it were the same element, I wouldn't be able to use your grimoire, which had bound itself to you. Other than you, no one can use that grimoire, even the ones who share your element. And even if you die, the grimoire will just select someone else instead of the person who killed the owner of the grimoire. As for why I approached you, it's because I need your help, she further stated. I'm sorry, but I've stopped helping others. You should look for someone else, Gabriel stated, ending the conversation immediately. Now, I don't expect anyone to help me, and I won't help anyone either. This is my new life, and I'll live it only for myself. I know what you're going through. You just awakened, and you were attacked. Probably by someone you trusted. It can certainly mess with anyone's heads. But that's what we Dark Mage have been going through for ages. We've been betrayed, backstabbed, killed, and more for no reason at all. Trust me when I say this, but I know what you've gone through. In a world where even your blood can betray you, it's really hard to trust someone. But still, I ask for your trust. The two of us might not share the same element, but we share the same enemies. Previously, the entire world was against us, but now, it's against you as well. If we want to stop ourselves from being hunted like wild beasts, we need to work together. We need to change the world. We need to destroy the world that tormented us and create the world anew. A world that will accept us. A world where we won't have to fight for our lives. Lyra appeared to be talking straight from her heart, and her emotions were clearly visible on her face. She didn't often show them emotions as she believed this made her look weak, which she didn't like, but currently she couldn't control herself. She had managed to become stronger throughout the years, strong enough to defeat most of the mages. Unfortunately, throughout the years, she also had to sacrifice a lot for what she gained. She had to fight every day for a world where she didn't have to worry about being killed abruptly. Gabriel noticed the pain in Lyra's eyes. For some reason, she reminded him of himself when he was stabbed by Maya. Create the world anew, he muttered. A different world. I think you're overestimating me. I just awakened. Can we really change the world? Can we really go against the holy churches? Of course, we can. With you and me, we can do anything. You have the grimoire of your element, and I have one of mine. We aren't as weak as you think. We don't need to be scared of the elemental churches. In fact, it should be them who needs to be worried about us. You have a grimoire too. Gabriel tilted his head in surprise. Grimoire meant a holy book, and each element only had one. It was the strongest spell book of that element which was like the Holy Grail. She also had one like him. Lyra nodded. She showed the dark pendant which was hanging on her neck. Just like Gabriel's ring, the pendant turned into a dim speck of light. It transformed into a black book which was similar in size to Gabriel's book but had a black crescent moon on the cover instead of the two sides that were in his book. Will you help me? I don't mind if you don't want to fight with me for long. Just help me once, and I'll fight all the battles myself. Even though Gabriel didn't know if he wanted to help her or not, he was really curious about what help she needed. She had a grimoire of her own. And she was a mage for longer, so she was certainly stronger than him. He didn't believe he could help her with anything. What one help, he asked. Lyra took a deep breath as she grimly stated her request. Hearing the requests, Gabriel's lips parted slightly. So you are crazy. 18 Chapter 18 You are listening at novelfull.audio. No, I'm not a crazy person, and this isn't a crazy idea. If we can pull it off, it'll be a great help to our cause. Lyra tried to persuade Gabriel, but he still appeared to look at her like she was crazy. Only you can call this plan not crazy. I've just awakened my element, and I don't even control more than a few spells, yet you want me to enter the holy bastion of the Church of Light. If that's not crazy, then what is? Ask someone else to help. I'm not interested. He turned his back on Lyra and started leaving. If she was asking for a small help, he might have even considered it since the two of them were in a similar situation. Still, her request was literally a suicide mission, especially now that he had awakened his second element. I'm asking you because only you can help me, Lyra explained, letting out a tired sigh as she followed after Gabriel. At first, when I sensed your energy, I didn't think this plan was even possible. I only wanted to see who was using this dark energy so I could form a team and work together to spread the influence of the Church of Darkness, but after seeing your two elements, I realized that you were more special than I thought. Only you can pull off this mission. This suicide mission, you mean? Gabriel rolled his eyes. They'll catch me right away if I go there. The only time I'll step into the royal capital is when I believe I'm strong enough, and this isn't that time. Moreover, I have more important things to finish. I don't have time for you. More important things like taking revenge on the people who hurt you. Lyra inquired, taking a guess. You can't do that either. What do you mean? Gabriel stopped and looked back at the young woman. The citizens of the town have already vacated it. The commoners shifted to other towns while the mages ran to the royal capital to hide, dreading your return. And I can take a guess that it was the mages who hurt you. That would mean that the people you want your revenge on. They are already in the royal capital. You won't find anyone even if you go back to the town. The young lady explained how futile Gabriel's effort of revenge was going to be since the town was empty now. They can't leave so fast. It's only been a few hours since I was hurt. They should still be on the way, Gabriel stated in response. A few hours. I think you might have a slight misconception. You weren't hurt a few hours ago. It has been 3 days since you disappeared from the town. And 3 days are more than enough for them to get to the royal capital, Lyra chimed in. In fact, if I'm not wrong, those people must have informed the Holy Church of Light about you as well. It's quite possible that the town would be surrounded by the Mages of Light at this point. Go back, and you'll end up falling straight into the trap, she further added. Why should I believe you? Gabriel grimly inquired. Because I have a reason to keep you safe. You are a potential future ally and too important to me. Moreover, I don't want to do anything that will break your trust. If you accept to help me and go to the royal capital, you'll find out if I was lying, and then you won't help me. So I won't lie to you about this, Lyra explained. All I'll say at the end is that you really should avoid going to the town this time. If you thought the town priest was strong, you'd be in for a real surprise. That person was nothing before the ones who will be present in the town for investigation. If you were able to sense me using my energy, why can't they do it? How come they aren't here yet if they are that strong? Gabriel inquired before plucking another apple. He took a bite from the apple and waited for the woman's response. They can't sense it. Even though you have a different element than me, yours also contains some semblance of darkness but not quite the same. I was able to sense it because of that, but they can't unless you're using your spells while you're in close proximity to them. And how close would that proximity be where they can sense it? I'm not entirely sure, but if I were to take a guess, would say 500 meters or more, I answered. So you're somewhat safe for now. So, will you help me? She ultimately asked. Gabriel stood calmly and didn't respond. He just gazed back into the distance. Infiltrate the royal capital and steal the staff of the head of Dark Church, which is being kept in a high-security exhibition at the Holy Academy of Elements, he muttered after a long time before shaking his head. He gazed back at Lia. As I said before, this is impossible. You're asking me to go to war with the Holy Academy. I'm not asking you for that. All I'm asking you is to steal something for me. Steal something that is kept in high security. To me, that sounds the same as going to war with the Academy. Gabriel rolled his eyes. All the mages of the Academy will surround me within minutes if I even attempt it. I can't face them all as I am now. Aren't you also a mage with the element of darkness? You also have the Holy Grimoire. Why don't you do it? Why do you need me to do it? Because I'm not as special as you. You have what I lack. You have the dual elements. The security of the royal city is too tight. Even the advanced mages from the Holy Church are stationed at the security stations, moreover, the city is surrounded by a barrier which is cast by the head of Holy Church of Light himself. As soon as a dark mage passes through the barrier, it leaves a mark on their soul. And also alerts everyone about your presence. For the next 20.4 hours, the mark can't be removed. The dark mage can be detected by the holy mages because of that mark. They are chased, hunted, and killed. So there is no way for me to sneakily enter the city to steal something. Especially not until I get the strength to destroy the barrier, and I can only get that strength with the help of the ancestral staff of darkness. That's why I want you to steal it. As soon as the staff returns to me, the barrier will become useless. We can finally have an equal footing. Hearing Lyra's explanation, Gabriel finally understood why she was asking for his help. And because I don't exactly have the element of darkness, I can get through the barrier undetected. He finished what Lyra was going to speak. 19 Chapter 19 You are listening at novelfull.audio. You are pretty clever. That's correct. That's why I said only you can do it. Lyra agreed. She sent her book of darkness back into the necklace around her neck as she stood empty-handed before Gabriel, who hadn't stopped eating the apples throughout the conversation. Okay, I understand that I can get inside the city, but aren't you forgetting something important? Gabriel asked. According to you, the ancestral staff of darkness is kept in the Academy of Elements under a secure exhibition. And only the students and teachers there can enter the academy. That's right, but how hard is it to get admission to the academy for someone like you? You are a mage of light. All you need to do is hide your emblem of the other element, and you can get in. It's not like you need to study there. There are two flaws in your logic, Lyra. Firstly, even if I go to the academy, I won't get admission. The head priest of Church of Light has banished me from the Academy of Elements. I can never get admission there. Gabriel talked about his past and how he was to be selected in the Holy Church of Light before being pushed off the cliff. He also talked about hearing of his banishment. And even if I could, by now, the head priest has probably already been informed about my awakening of a dark element. My wanted poster would be everywhere before long, starting at the academy. And secondly, my other element, even if I hide it from plain view, can't it be sensed by the other mages, especially the mages of light and teachers there? Those aren't actually flaws, you see. Lyra smiled. She was slightly happy that he wasn't outright refusing her anymore. Since they were talking about flaws, that meant there was a possibility of him agreeing. Firstly, about your banishment. That's easy. All you need to do is make sure no one can recognize you, and that's the easiest part. I can help you with that. No one will know who you really are. And secondly, you are entirely wrong. No one can sense what your element is unless you use it. That's why the mages of light don't hide their symbol of light. They want everyone to see and know how special they are. The only way someone can sense your element is through your aura, but a mage only gets an aura after becoming an advanced mage. You aren't at that level yet, so you don't need to worry about it. That's why you can easily get inside the Academy of Elements. So far, everything you stated hasn't been an obstruction. The only problem with the plan is the actual stealing amidst the security, but I have an idea for that as well. As long as you agree, I promise we can pull it off successfully. So, are you in? Lyra reached out her hand to Gabriel. Together, we will make the world a better place. A better place for us. Gabriel gazed at her but didn't reach out his hand. The world-changing stuff doesn't matter to me. Tell me how I'll actually benefit from this plan other than all the future stuff. If I succeed, you'll get the ancestral staff. If I fail, I'll be killed. You have no losses in this entire plan, and I have no benefits that I can see. In the end, it seems more and more like you're using me as a pawn. Why should I do anything? He asked in response. If I want to change the world, why won't I go with my initial plan of becoming stronger so I can do it myself? Why will I depend on you? No matter how much this plan made sense for him, he didn't care about it in the end. As long as he felt like he was being used, he didn't want to agree to it. Lyra started pacing back and forth as she scratched the back of her head in frustration. Even after trying to convince the guy so much, they were back at square one. Fine. Tell me what you want in exchange for your help, she ultimately asked, glaring at the young man. After you get me the ancestral staff, I will do any one thing that you ask, no matter whatever that may be. You wanted benefits, what more benefits can I give? You feel like you're being a pawn, but I'm willing to be a pawn too, all for my goal. So tell me, what do you want in return for your help? Lyra had been waiting for an opportunity like this for a long time where she could recover the ancestral staff and complete a set with the Grimoire of Darkness so she could bring out its full strength. Now that she was so close to it, she was so desperate that she was willing to do anything for it. You want me to kill your enemies? I'll do it. You want me to bring you wealth? I will. You want me to help you plunder cities? I will help you. No matter what one thing you ask, I will do it, she declared. As long as you agree to help me retrieve the ancestral staff that belongs to us dark mages. Gabriel was surprised at the determination of Lyra. She was actually willing to do anything for him. Didn't that imply? He observed her expressions as he asked, anything. No matter how absurd my demand may be. Lyra didn't know why, but she felt slightly worried from the tone of the young man. Just what was he planning to ask her? He is a man, and all men are like that. Of course, he will ask for my body. But if it's for my goal, I am ready, she thought as she gulped down, clenching her fist. She nodded. Anything. Fine. I will help you as long as you promise to fulfill my one demand. After that, Gabriel finally agreed since there really was something he couldn't miss out on at this point. An opportunity like this doesn't come often. What is your demand? Lyra asked, even though she had already guessed what it might be. After a brief pause, Gabriel took another bite from his apple as he told his demand. What? Are you crazy? This time, it was Lyra's turn to be shocked. She had assumed his demand, but even in her dreams, she couldn't have expected how crazy his demand was going to be. The ball which was in Gabriel's park before was now on her field. The decision rested on her as she incredulously stared at Gabriel. 20 Chapter 20 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lyra stared at Gabriel blankly as silence ensued. Only the sounds of leaves rustling amongst themselves could be heard. The two people looked at each other, trying to guess what the other person might be thinking. It's not crazy. You said you'll do anything I ask in return. I told you my demand. Now the rest is on your shoulders. Gabriel appeared to be unfazed. The lady had come to him with a request. It wasn't him who went to her first. Moreover, since he was taking a risk, he needed something in return. Can you ask for something else? Lyra asked after thinking for a few minutes. I don't need anything else. Take your time and think about it. I'm not in any hurry. It's not like I have a home to go to. Gabriel sat under the shade of a tree. He kept eating the apples as if he was Adam in the Garden of Eve, not caring about anything else for now. He didn't need to hurry back to the town since everyone had gone already. The only destination for him was the royal city. Even if the lady before him disagreed, he was still going to go there. The only difference was going to be that he wasn't going to attempt that stealth. His goal of going there was simple. Get back at the ones who messed with him, especially Horan, since he was the core of this entire mess. Leaving Lyra to her own thoughts, Gabriel observed the staff even more carefully. According to him, this staff was most probably the ancestral staff of necromancy. It was supposed to be the strongest elemental staff. Lyra was also after something similar but for her element. This showed Gabriel the importance of the staff he had. He literally had the strongest weapons in the world that anyone could have. He had the Holy Book of Necromancy, and he had the ancestral staff of necromancy. The only part of the equation which was lacking was himself. He needed to make himself stronger, and he realized it. Initially, his enmity might have been with Horan, but now the entire world was against him because of his other element. For his safety, he needed strength. Even more strength than he had, strength to kill anyone who even thought about hurting him. After a long pause, Lyra broke the silence. As much as I want to help you, it's impossible. I can't help you steal the Holy Book of Light. You are asking for something that is literally impossible. The Holy Book of Light is with the head of the Church of Light. Even with the ancestral staff of darkness, I won't be strong enough to face him directly. As much as she wanted to agree, she knew she couldn't. The demand of Gabriel was just impossible for her to fulfill. Who said you will be alone? Gabriel inquired. I will be fighting with you. 2 against 1. Even if he is stronger, we can do it. Lyra shook her head. Even if we manage to get lucky and kill the head of Church of Light, as I told you before, the Holy Grimoires never select the killers as their owners. The Holy Book of Light won't select you as its owner. It'll disappear after the head of the Church of Light is killed. Your wish is literally impossible. That's why I'm telling you to ask for something else. Literally, anything else. I could make a false promise to you right now saying I'll do it, but I know it's impossible, Lyra explained. If I lied now, the day you find out that I lied, there will be bad blood between us, and I don't want that. So I'm not going to lie to you just to get you to do what I ask. Gabriel noticed the eyes of Lyra. Even though she was a dark mage who had probably taken a lot of lives, her eyes were still so pure. Fine. I'll help you. Gabriel tossed an apple to Lyra. I know stealing the Grimoire of Light is impossible as well. You know. And you agree to help me despite me not promising you. Why? Lyra stared at Gabriel in confusion as she caught the apple. You might be the only person in the world who won't look at me like I'm a devil, despite knowing both my elements, Gabriel answered. Just like I'm the only one who won't judge you. If you want to change the world, you'll need my help. And if I want to fight back and become stronger, I'll need your help. We are the 2 bad apples of this world that everyone hates, he further added. It's time we showed the world what a few bad apples can do. As Gabriel spoke, it was pretty ironic that he was holding an apple in his hand. Lyra couldn't agree with the statement of Gabriel more. That was precisely what she thought. The two of them needed each other in this battle if they wanted to survive long enough to see a world where they weren't persecuted. That was also why she didn't want to lie to him and make him her enemy in the future because of this one lie which was inevitably going to come to light after he asked her to keep her promise in the future. However, she still didn't understand why Gabriel asked for a demand he wasn't going to follow through on. He offered his help without anything in return. After a long time, she thought of something as her eyes lit up. Could it be? You were testing me. Gabriel didn't answer. He kept his focus on his ancestral staff. There's a saying in my town. A burnt child dreads fire. I've seen what happens when I trust someone without thinking things through. As you said before, even your family can betray you at the last second. I wanted to see if you will lie to me just to get what you want. You didn't. If you had lied. He stood up and stretched his arms and didn't finish her sentence, which sounded a bit threatening. I will help you. You. Lyra just blankly stared at Gabriel. This young boy. She thought he was going to be an impulsive young man who asked for requests without thinking things through. But he was different. He had thought things through. Even his demand had a hidden purpose behind it. If she had lied to him, she would have lost his help and trust forever. So you really don't want anything in exchange? Lyra inquired. I didn't say I won't ask anything in return. I just don't need to ask you anything this instant. When I need help, I'll expect you to be there. If you aren't, I'll personally come to kill you for breaking my trust, Gabriel declared. Even though Lyra was an advanced mage with a grimoire, Gabriel didn't hesitate in issuing his threat. He had seen death from up close twice. In this life, he wasn't going to be scared of dying. I promise. When you need help, I'll always be there. It doesn't matter if you succeed or fail, I'll be there to help you. Lyra reached out her hand to Gabriel. Gabriel responded in a similar manner and reached out his hand as well. And thus, an unlikely partnership had formed. A partnership that had the potential to change the world forever. The partnership of two mages who could stand at the peak of this world.